Schönen guten Tag von meiner Seite.
Hello everybody, I am Phillipp Hypko. I'm Managing Director of FlexFactory. For some of you, FlexFactory might be already well known. For those who do not know FlexFactory yet, I would like to present FlexFactory briefly. It's a joint venture that was founded about 3.5 years ago by three companies, MHP, for the added value van, Porsche for small series, and this isn't something really special for this transfer of technical expertise and financial expertise, together with the third company, MunichRe, with a focus on risk and financial structuring. In FlexFactory, we actually focus on these three topics, and for us, it's important for production as a service. Production as a service
hat aus aktuellem Anlass mehr denn je Nachfrage.
That's really very demanded nowadays, and there are three major challenges for companies nowadays, for manufacturing companies. And the first point is sustainability. This is based on a current study. Resilience is paramount, and why more and more companies reshore production, even to high-cost countries in Europe. You can see one example of bicycle frames. In former times, bicycle frames were always produced in Asia, and nowadays the delivery terms are even longer than those of vehicles, of cars. And there is also a trend to get back the vehicle production and bicycle production to Europe. In Europe, there are high-cost countries. In Germany, it's practically impossible to have the same production process. We need more automation in Germany, and thus more investment. And of course, this also entails a higher investment risk. This is what we focus on. The second challenge is sustainability. Nowadays, sustainability can only be addressed with new technology in manufacturing in order to reduce the CO2 footprint. This is always combined with risks in the new technology, and we address these risks and find solutions. The third point is a kind of evergreen. It's about added value. In the past, there was a focus on large and global factories. And recently, there is now another trend towards small and local factories. So owning factories and equipment becomes more and more a challenge for manufacturers. Production as a service can be a solution, and you will certainly have heard about several examples in industry, and they always focus normally on the first step, on a single machine, on a single plant. Equipment as a service, this is the slogan, Trumpf and so on. But then there is the next step towards production processes, logistics processes, and for us as FlexFactory, it's even more interesting to take this further step and offer services for a complete factory. There are already some examples, but only a few in practice. KUKA, our partner company, the company for this Jeep plant in Toledo, and a joint venture from Porsche, and Schuler, the press manufacturer, KTPO. So the question is whether we can actually transfer this, what we use in the entertaining industry and also in car industry, can we actually transfer this to manufacturing lines? And we can say, yes, this is possible. What do we need, actually? There are three enablers. But before we talk about the enablers, I would like to emphasize one sentence that can describe this production as a service. You need a highly flexible plant, a factory, And second,
von externen Investoren, also nicht mehr
this is then owned by external investors. It's not owned by the manufacturer. And there is a split, so several users can use this infrastructure. So this is then flexible production. And so it's possible to manufacture several products on one line very efficiently and to reduce the risk of variations. And CapEx to OpEx. This is also a slogan. How can we manage that? How can we make the fixed costs more variable? How can we split this and refinance this? And the third point, it's about the sharing of production lines with several users, and so finally distribution of risk and a better profile, a better risk profile, and higher investments than it would be possible for a single user. So let's not just talk about theory, but rather about practical examples. We would like to present VFrames, and it's great that we can cooperate with this company. Here is the managing director. He will give you an overview of what we are doing with VFrames and MHP. We have already worked on several projects.
Danke, Philipp.
Thank you, Philip.
So, ökologische Nachhaltigkeit, das ist
ecological sustainability, this is one of the main drivers, and this is why this mobility sector is growing, and the e-bike sector is growing at the moment. And there are investments in industry, but actually, nowadays, the frames are often built in Asia, still in Asia, and with a lot of manpower is needed and energy is needed. And then the frames are shipped back to Europe for use, and they end up in a landfill, sometimes in China. This is not a good ecological approach. There are approaches, but actually these approaches exist already for 30 years. And now there is a new method, the injection molding process. And but sometimes this was tried in the past, and but they didn't achieve the rigidity, or it was too soft. So what do we do? What is our solution? In the last 7 years, we developed a method, and now we have a new injection molding technology. And we have the material in the mold at a temperature of 280 degrees with a liquid core, and we press on this core. We have these overflow capacities, and we have then a cavity geometry, and so we can produce this frame, and we have the great material, polyamide, with a high rigidity and a low weight. So if it works well, this is really perfect. It's fully recyclable. So actually there are two arguments. The material that we produce and the frames that we manufacture, they are made out of fibers from the automotive industry. So they are reused, and at the end of the life cycle, they are remelt, and we can use the material for new frames. So a high circularity, high recyclability of the material, that's the basis of our technology. At the same time, we can reduce the CO2 footprint in production by 80%, according to a study carried out by the University of Linz. And by using also solar cells in our factory, and we can even achieve a CO2 neutral frame production in Germany. It's the first fully recyclable carbon frame because there are no thermoset materials, and we have materials that can be better recycled. We have a better CO2 footprint, and we do everything in Germany. We produce this in Germany, 1,000 frames per day with one operator, fully automated in our plant. 1,000 frames per mold per day, and a mold has got a lifetime of 1 million shots.
Anspruch an die Qualität. Also
it's a top-level quality. You have a look at this, as you can see, but it's high quality. The mechanical property are excellent. Later on, I will come back to that. Once again, the ecological footprint. As I said, we reduce the CO2 footprint from 1,600 kilograms to 450 kilograms, and at the end, the material is milled and can be reused for the manufacturing of frames. And we manufacture this in Germany, so there are no transport routes from Asia to Europe. It's manufactured just in time. We do not have to order the frame 1 year in advance. We can produce unlimited quantities. And here you can see the production process. This is the mold. It's really highly sophisticated and complex. You can see the frame already injected. After 2 minutes, it's complete, it's done. And we have to reinforce some parts for fully suspension bikes. And so there are inserts. The robot picks it, places it, and it's practically complete. And then we just have to reduce some screws, and that's it. And here you can see briefly the raw material, short fiber, granules, polyamide with carbon fibers coming from the automotive industry. And let's talk about the properties as well. It's a flex material, very flexible material, elastic, so which guarantees very good driving behavior. It's well insulating, and even some shocks or impacts are well dampened and smooth. With 100 kilograms, you can see this test, so it's very resilient. What can you do with it? All the bicycle designers love that, because actually with this injection molding process, you can create superb surfaces. You have so many geometries, top surface quality engravings are also possible, functional integrations. We can also include carriers, and within this project, and normal injection molding machines that are available on the market, we can manufacture a cargo bike in one shot within 2 minutes. You can include sensors, integrate sensors, have very complex geometries, some really novelties, something that is brand new and that was not possible before. And we have won several awards with the first bike. It's very advanced. You can see the frame here. We got the Design Innovation Award and 5 further awards.
Das geht noch nicht so genau. So,
that's not working. Okay.
Die Qualitätskontrolle, also ein bisschen auf die Qualität.
And quality assurance. I would like to talk about the quality of the frame.
Geht nicht kaputt. Sie können da 1 Million, 2 Millionen, 10 Millionen.
The material cannot be broken. You can have 1 million or 2 million cycles. Also, when it comes to impact tests, we even took 150 kilograms for the test. It's more than what was requested by the standard. And when it comes to the digital twins that we plan for the factory, okay, the frames are taken out of the mold, they are marked, they got a number, then a scan is carried out, so the quality can be documented, and in the digital twin the information is stored, so that we can actually document the quality for each frame. Very important after 10 years, for instance, because it's very important to see whether the parts are fine or whether they pose a risk. It took quite a while, 6 years altogether. It cost also more than expected, and we could convince major companies to develop frames with us at the Eurobike. 3 frames are presented. Next year we will have 8 different frames, and I give the floor to Julian because he will talk about the new plant, because soon in future we will have 1 million frames and 30 operators we will manufacture in Thuringia in east of Germany and can relocate some production from Asia. Thank you very much. So in the end, the question arises how MHP can actually provide support to FlexFactory for this flexible production. So in the first step, we had to develop a technical concept, and within 6 weeks, the team could actually define 6 important core levels. First of all, we had to define the production sequence, the steps from the delivery of raw materials to the product, and then the total layout of the company was defined, the positioning of the different machines and the spatial layout. Then we developed a business case to be able to derive the investment for this flexible factory. And in the next step, we now have to develop a digital concept. So we evaluate the steps that are necessary for development and which steps can be digitalized, because we always want to have a consistent digital value stream. And this is actually the core of MHP. We support our customers and flex factories and partners. We support the implementation of this consistent value stream. So 2 approaches are very important. First of all, the horizontal consistency. So we take into account all the processes from the raw materials to after sales, but also vertical integration. Besides the tools, we take into account the processes, the tools, and the business aspects. I hope that we could give you an idea of this approach and how it could be implemented at the customers. Thank you.